Hello. How are y'all doing? Hello, Morat. Hello, Mohammed. How are we doing? How are we doing? Oh, well. We're top 80. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. So it's kind of like left from like the last stream. So you're gonna like try to push higher today. Hello, AZ. Hello, Ella. Hello, John. See pancakes in a robotic voice. Pancakes. You're pushing our mini account. How are you doing? We're doing pretty well. We're doing pretty well. Yeah, we need to use a... Still need to use boost potions on the E-Spear. That's crazy. That's crazy. I need to like win a classic challenge to get like enough, like to get like the book. Oh, will you add me for a diamond pass? I have 10 passes. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, they're removing boost potions. So yeah, I think my Clash Royale career is just over. Because I still have like a 0 out of 20 on this line on my main account. So yeah. It's not too good, it's not too good. Fire thumbnail, thank you. Why are you late today? I don't know. I don't know. What's the reason? I don't have a reason. We're just like slightly later. Whole night stream, perhaps. We could tilt, We could tilt. But yeah, I didn't feel like streaming in the morning. And then I went out like after. So yeah. Do you know where Baby Nate is actually from? I forgot. Either Nepal or the other country, like Vietnam or something along those lines. But he lives in Florida, I'm pretty sure. So yeah. Oh, we found a game. We're against Mortar. Oh, oh, it's a good luck. It's a good luck. I hate him. I hate him. Oh, for fuck's sake, bro. For fuck's sake. Oh, wait, let me rage DM him that I'm streaming. For fuck's sake, bro. Just ruining my stream. Just ruining my stream. Fuck you. You're streaming. Oh, for fuck's sake. For fuck's sake, bro. No. No, now we have to like sit here for 5 minutes and the stream just started. Ah, the audience retention rate is gonna be so bad. It's gonna be so bad. For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. Pain. Pain. Just pain. But yeah, what's new? I was like trying to make like a Hogwarts guy, just like gather all the games from like the past streams, because we had like some pretty amazing games, but like the quality is like not as good as like I want it to be. So I don't know. I might like record right now. See if we can. Yeah, I guess I can like record after this. Can record after this. Just like record all the games, so it's like the quality is not like that bad, and I can just like put them all together. But I don't even know if like a Hogwarts guy like last day of the season is a good idea. So yeah. Are you higher on main or not? They're like right next to each other. They're like 4 miles apart. So yeah. If you damage your King Towers, you might lose. No, that's not how it works. It's not how it works. Como te llamas? Sure. Watch Reels for attention. It's just full of like Squid Game and like suits. Even though I haven't watched Suits in like a year, there's still like a billion reels or like YouTube shorts on my YouTube. Now I say the name of the enemy. What? What? Uh, let me tell him to fuck off again. Fuck you. Alright. Place firecracker. Nah. Nah. You want a girlfriend? I feel you. I feel you. Why does drawing work? Because we're like usually like draw friends. Because you just don't want to like take their mouths. Or just like, I don't know, just like draw in general. Is 3.0 a good matchup for you? Probably. But like Evo archers are annoying. But yeah, it should be like good. It should be good with this spirit too. It should be good. I played Trice today, he saw us. Like the YouTuber? Yeah, he might be. Why banned abuse or huh? What do you mean? What do you mean? Does it give you no, it doesn't give anyone medals. Just 0 for both. You're not nonchalant. Shut up, Mortar. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Alina, when you ending stream? I just started. Wait like 3 minutes to queue, and then I have to wait 5 minutes to like draw this guy. So yeah, it's looking great. It's looking great. Gonna be like 10 minutes into the stream, not accomplish anything. It's gonna be great. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know. We're gonna end it at like 1 a.m. at the earliest, probably. I can do this again. You hard counter, bro. Bro has internet ego. Wait, who? What? Heavy put maybe pack. Huh? More so humble for tying a free matchup for him. uh, I hate Mortar. I hate Mortar. He's so bad. Such a garbage Xbox player. Like Heisenberg is better. Lazarus is better. There's so many like better players. Who is Yoko? He's like a Chinese player. He's pretty good. He's pretty good with hoggies. But yeah, let's queue again. Let's queue again. We're top 80. We're top 80 in the world. That's not too bad. Not too bad. Let's just hope we face like P.E.K.K.A, Electro Dragon, or Logbait and don't get like starting handed. What you going for? I don't know. I already got like my money from the contract, so I can just sit here, get like a top 250 or something, whatever. Oh, I have to restart. Whatever this will finish, and then yeah, and then yeah. Oh, I hate my connection. I ordered like a Ethernet USB cable, and it should have arrived today, but it didn't. So I'm pretty pissed about that, because now I have to wait until like Monday at the earliest. So yeah, fuck like Slovenian Post. They suck. They suck. Or like Post Office. Yeah, Post Office. Will you reach 3.8 mils? I'm aiming for like 3. Oh, we found a game. We're aiming for 4K, baby. We're aiming for 4K. What is the name of your club? If you mean like my clan, it's YouTube, the 2 dots, but one isn't a dot, Alina CR. I love how I just don't know the word. Just 2 dots, but one isn't a dot. So great. So great. Like Stein here. Why not? Thanks for a while. You might like, oh. Why are you giving me a well played? Play like 20 times more brain that. I don't know why this guy's giving me a well played. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's just crazy. We go for like a E-Spirit here. He might like Zap or something, yeah. That's cool. That's cool. So if I go for like a Hawk, he's going like Skelly Dragons. So also, does anyone know if he has Arrows or Fireball? Saw like a lot of players running Fireball. So I'm not too sure. Not too sure. I guess we can see here. Depending on what he does. Depending on what he does. Guess we can stay in the back. Guess we can just stay in the back. Get a hit on the lava. Nice. Then we can go for like this. Use Spirit to reset the Inferno Dragon. Nice. Nice. That's so good. That's so good for us. Go for this here. Oh, he does have Fireball. Oh, nice. He got one more. Nice. That's so good. That's so good. That's so good. The fact that like the Firecracker, like you guys probably didn't see it, but I got like a last second hit, so you might like try to like push the balloon here. So yeah, gotta be careful of that. He zaps. Oh, let's go. I love how they're not playing like arrows anymore. I guess they can kill this time, but I don't know. It's not the same. You can like fireball all this. Yeah. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Like a lock here, go for like another cannon. For like skellies. I go for this. Can use Spirit. That should go on the cannon. Nice. Oh, just such a good defense. We can cannon here just for safety measures. Such a good defense. Hello, Muhammad. Hello, Santa. Hello, Lucas. The wait for the thumbnail was definitely worth it. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Christopher. Can you say the letter N? N. I don't know what you want me to say. But yeah, Parsam, what a guy. Hello, Ash. How you doing? How you doing? Love from Singapore. I love y'all too. Love y'all too. Finish hard on Little Lock at Nature, please. I'll try. Bro, can you see with art? It hasn't released yet, so probably not. Probably not. But yeah, for the Hog Earthquake matchup guide, I don't think there's like any point of me doing like one right now because the meta's just gonna like change completely. So the hard counter pump. What pump? Pompeo? Or who are you talking about? Oh, this is like a Hog Mirror matchup. Remy Alley coming free, bro. I saw like a lot of players running. Oh, it's not. He switched. It's like a lot of people running like the Remy's deck, except like with Ice Spirit instead of like the Wall Breakers. Why do you have a Lightning? That's so weird. That's so weird. What? Like Hog here. Play Rune Giant. It's not. Hasn't released yet. I don't know if that was the greatest rage because the Rammer like. Well, I guess it's still like full counters it. I didn't know that. I guess the Tar. Yeah. I thought it was gonna like run out of the range. Guess not though. But yeah, since he has Lightning Rage, I don't think he has arrows. So that's like the one good thing. You know, the one good thing. He's gonna like back at this, right? Or he might have Mega Knight. He might have Mega Knight actually. Could definitely see that happening. Yeah. Yeah. So that's pretty annoying. That's pretty annoying. Please kill Archer Queen. Nice. That's so good. That's so good. Then we can go for like a Hawk here. Just go for a Hawk. Let's see what he does. Oh, he lightnings? Get a Hawk hit. Get some like stun damage. I can't complain. I guess he goes E-Spirit. So we don't like get anything. There's Skellies here, just like cycle to another Hawk maybe. Even though Stein might be like slightly more useful. But I don't know. Can like E-Spirit. Apply a bit of pressure. What does Sara perche mean? It means maybe it's because I love you. That's what it means. Oh, that was good by him. That was good by him. Or just bad by me. A bit of both. Bit of both. Evil Skellies? I guess we get one hit. It's not too bad. Like Firecracker here. Oh. He just knows. He just knows. He just knows. That's cool though. I think we like defend here. Beyond the ram. Nice. Can like, oh, that's like connects. It's pretty annoying. But the air server is playing like pretty good. Can't even lie. Can't even like me like Hawk here. This is the girl he fumbled. What? What do you mean? Oh shit. It's quite annoying. It's quite annoying. Like cannon here. Like log this side. E-spirit. This this is tough. This is just tough. He's got like a queen or something. Oh, I guess he just goes for archers. I have to like Stein here, bro. It's so annoying. Jump. Alright, wait. I can like... No, I don't think I can ability that. Probably can't ability that. Like Skelly's high. Go for like this. Don't dash. Actually, I don't mind that that's in front. It's actually pretty good for me. Sort of like a cracker. He's gonna like lightning. Yeah, I can go for a cannon. Go for like this. Go for like a Stein here. Go for like a hawk. No. No, why? Why? How? Just why and how? Wait. Why does that like double dash? Huh? Just like, what? No. This matchup is so hates. Mega Knight Lightning. Just like one bad defense and we lost. That's I think. Drop delay. I don't think I had drop delay. But just, it's an annoying matchup. With the evil archers as well. And the queen. Yeah, and I couldn't get like King Tower early, so. Also, you like played well. But yeah, what do you think 3.4k will end me? Like a top 100 maybe? Something like that. Because it is like a long season, so you know. My job doesn't make it so I can kill barrel with delivery. Oh, that sounds 8. That sounds pretty 8. Of course it misses. This is like Mega Knight. I'm just gonna cry. Guess we get 2 hits there. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Skelly's here. My god, this is Alina Gaming 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you. See, I think he's back to gank, so I'll just chill. Guess I can earthquake. Just have a lock ready. Second firecracker. Mega Nata game, bro. Yeah. This one is like, it's still gay, but it's like gay in a different way. It's like just spam. So yeah. Oh, well played. just a well played. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. Just Mega Knight the bridge. I got a hog down here though. Wait. Let me cook. Oh, he's just gonna. Firecracker's on the tower though, so. So yeah, he goes for that. That's cool. He got like some damage. I feel like I should have gotten like a lot more though. It's cool though. It's all good. Where's more gay? No, the previous one was like much more gay. Much more gay. So yeah. I really don't want to hog. I feel like I have to though. Like do this here. Can like. Alright, now he can't kill this guy, so reset that. Like can no. For this. Such an interesting play. Interesting plays. He has to like no evil Mega Knight. No, he just has like evil Zabats. Let's go ahead annoying. Gonna count him like this. I have like Earthquake Cycle. So we're just not breaking through like any other way. Oh, he overspends, nice. Nice, huge. I guess we don't get a hit, but still. That was a good awareness of the situation. I want to count on life. No, I guess not. See, like gang the bridge, yeah. Yeah, he's gonna like minor spear goblins or something. That's cool. I mean, like 2 earthquakes, but I feel like he's just gonna go in pretty hard. Oh, he goes for that there. That's cool. Like he speared this. Spray, we don't choke. He's gonna like Mega Knight the bridge, right? Kinda has to. Or he's just gonna lose. Let's go. We at least win this Mega Knight. During the maintenance break, did they do balance changes? No, they just like prepared for the next season. Mega Knight bait is so bad though. You mean like as in matchup or as in deck? It's not even like bad. It's like pretty good actually. There's like a lot of people running it. Yolina Nate was talking today about his parents wanting him to marry some Vietnamese. I don't think the Vietnamese girl wants to marry Nate, so yeah. I don't think, bro, I hate this. I hate this so much. I hate this connection so much. But yeah, I don't think the girl wants to marry Nate. No girl wants to marry Nate, that's true. Next is Ramielli, perhaps. I don't have him added on this account, so I could see that happening. Oh, against bro, another Mega Knight. Another Mega Knight Lightning. This is just just why? I guess I can Earthquake. Don't have a better play. You're Russian? I'm not Russian. Not Russian. Yeah, Mega Knight just everywhere. I don't know why. But it's just like everywhere. But yeah, I like prolonged that so much. Not so much damage though. Should have like maybe locked. That's cool. We get King Tower. Run down like a bit. Or I guess like over 1,000, but still King Tower is like huge. It's pretty important. So yeah, it's not that bad. He's lightning this one. So yeah. So yeah. I might try to like activate, so I'll go for a Hawk. Oh, he's nobles. That's cool. You know, like Mega Knight delayed. Yeah, we get a hit. We get a hit. And like Stein here. Spray the cannon, kills it altogether. No, why did it like jump so far? It's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. Oh, it's still on it somehow. Wait, I can like ability. Kill all of that. Oh, he goes for ability too. I don't want a Hawk because that's just too aggressive, just too much value. Yeah. Let's go for like this. Then we go for a Hawk. So for that, let's go. I'm gonna go for this here. Like any spirits too. Oh. Does that box still exist or like it doesn't? If the evil snowball like the is he back? Oh, he's back. Oh, I'm bad. I'm so bad at this game. He's gonna like guards. Oh, he doesn't. That's cool though. That's cool. Got Gamma here. Hopefully we're Scully's just to make sure. Alright, I need to like lock in. Hope you're having a bad day. Thank you. Thank you. I love my chat. Get Skink Tar finally. So yeah, I need to like cracker this. He doesn't have anything to predict it, right? He might like lightning. And I can just go in. Oh, I guess he knew that. Yes, he knew that. So I don't think it's like that bad of a play. I don't think it's that bad of a play. I can like Skelly's here. Go for this guy here. And just lock. Oh, still gets a hit, of course. Of course. Of course. I can like ability here. I need to cycle like another Hawk. It's something that has to happen in order for me to win. Cam like this. Wait. Sorry if I'm not reading chat. This is just intense. It's pretty intense. I think he gave up. Can't blame him. We played that so good though. That was just pitch perfect gameplay. That was so good by us. Did I miss any? My connection is too bad for activation with MK. Should just not try to. Yeah, probably. If it's like too bad. Who said hope you're having a bad day? Hey, said it. YouTube semicolon. What do you mean? What do you mean? Okay, can you accept me into a clan? You're top 5,000. Yeah, I can accept you like after the stream. I'm not in clan on this account. But yeah. Yeah, that'll be thumbnail, thank you. Arrogance Nikoka. Take a shot after every loss. I had that idea. It would be funny. Would be funny. What is semicolon? What? I don't get it. Oh, also I forgot to like start recording my games. Oh, this is just. I guess he still goes guards, but still. This is just. Back up first play, bro. Back up first play. I can't. I can't. I just can't. I think this matchup's that bad if he's playing what I think he's playing. If he's playing what I think he's playing. Yeah. As long as he doesn't have like lightning or something, we should be basically win here. So I wanna like firecracker this. And then I wanna like activate the King Tower off of that. Oh, I'm so bad. Oh, just way too late or early. That's so unlucky. That's so unlucky. Had I got the King Tower there, I would have won. Just straight up. Just straight up. See what he does. He's just waiting to rage this. But now he can't like NATO, he overspent. He overspent. I mean, that P.E.K.K.A though. That P.E.K.K.A could cause some trouble. And the Ram, wait. Alright, I think it's still over though. But yeah, if I had a King Tower, this would have been already over. It's not. Wait, does he have Fisherman? No, he has NATO. He only has like NATO. So yeah, let's make the best. He's gonna like NATO everything together here. It's not gonna be fun. How's that on the Hello? Huh? That was so far away from the... Bro. Just why? That was like so far away. How is that? That's just not fair. That's like actually not fair, bro. What? How is that? That's just so unfair. That was so far away from the cannon. It's like the most retarded way to win, bro. I swear to God. Swear to God. There's so much space between the cannon. Does Nico BM? I don't know. That's just retarded. Isn't there anyone who can accept me to clan? I don't know. I don't know if anyone's online. That's just annoying. And now we're facing like drill or mine or NATO. One of those. One of those. Just great. Just great. Nerfy Drake, bro, that was just... wasn't even in rage. That's like the main issue. But yeah, this matchup sucks. Just minor the back. Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. You know why you said you will marry me? What? I didn't say that. I did not say that. Did not say that. But yeah, this is annoying. This matchup, annoying. I'm gonna key spirit back. Let's just full skill him. Just full skill him. He has that back, so doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Can he activate? Guess not. This matchup, bro. We lose like a good matchup in like that retarded way. Now I just got like the biggest hard counter ever. That's so bad. So sad. Oh, that link went forward. Really? Really? Bro, I know this guy hates admin and Hunter's Discord server. That's crazy. That's crazy. Alright, so... Mike try the Marcher that. I guess he doesn't. So retarded, like Marcher. He's like constantly predicted. Otherwise you just lose. That's how it works. That's how it's always been. Well, like... Hello? Like, where are those plays, bro? Like a lock here too. Just in case. I don't want him going like opposite lane. pretty annoying. Alright. Let's like lock in. I just lock in. Lock here. Perhaps. Doesn't do anything. No, of course. Of course. Of course. Alright, I can stand here. I don't think it's gonna like do anything. Yeah, easy with Skellies. It's just like native that, right? Yeah. So I can like go for a hawk, right click for the bomb tower. Plays it high, that's cool. That's cool. Can like lock here, go for like an E-Spirit. No, the thing. Alright, thank God those died. He was bomb tower. So it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Use NATO 8. He's just like apply a lot of pressure. Right? Wait, firecracker? No. This is crazy. This is just what? This is not real. Just not real. NATO's nothing. Gets completely away with it. This matchup just not real. Like what? What's he doing, bro? Generally, what's he doing? Just doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter because of how retarded that matchup is. Huh? That's over the screen. Bro. Just, he barely lost that too. Hello, Mobin. My guess is that they have algorithm according to your win rate. What? No. No. I don't think Supercell's that big of a hater. Could see that happening there. Imagine. Just the final nail in the coffin. But then I guess someone has to get a good matchup, right? In order for you to get a bad matchup. Scouting cycle really easy. Yeah, it's like not hard. It's not that hard. Is it another Remy? I swear to God if it is. Well played, bro. Well played. Just well played. I'll stay in the back. Just great. Just great. Curse Rage. First play on tower. Just love to see it. What is this? Like what? Like E-Giant? No, it's not E-Giant. It's Curse Rage. I would know, man. Probably has like NATO. What's that Rage? What's bro trying to cook? He played drill. What? Really? You got a hawk hit. Is this really drill? Dactymal Ridge 2000? No. He's too bad. He's way too bad. Like what? What's this? What's this stack? You like Stein? Oh, is that? Does he like curse rage that? Oh, of course he does. Of course he does. Of course he does. So why wouldn't he, right? That doesn't get a hit. That's crazy. That's crazy. Rage curse, what? What? High Swiss building NATO. And the guy said it's drill, so makes me even more worried. I don't know, some people said it's drill. So I don't know, I guess that. That's like NATO that, right? Yeah, we go for like a hog earthquake. Hog earthquake, nice. Huge, 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 huge. Actually, maybe not. Maybe not. Not even. What? That just retarded. Oh, I forgot about the amplifier. What, bro? This is just so shit. So shit. So shit. Just, I don't know. Let me Stein here protect the cracker. See what he does about it. This ability. Sure. Wait, firecracker? No. Doesn't. He messes up, but it just doesn't matter. And I get like a high cannon down. Please counter it. Oh, so much damage, bro. So much damage. This is just annoying. Just splash yard, except even worse somehow. Just even worse somehow. Like, cannon this. Key spirit just in case. Lock. How is that like getting damage? I don't get it. I don't get it. I guess because of the rage. That's so retarded. That's so retarded. No, 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 no. No. Wait, no. Wait, they will Scully. Yo! Yeah! Ain't no way. Ain't no way, bro. You suck. You suck so bad. You suck so bad. You suck so bad, bro. You suck so bad. You suck so badly, bro. Oh, you're just garbage. You're just garbage. Garbage player. Garbage player, bro. So bad. So garbage. So garbage. Stick to scamming people, bro. Stick to scamming people. No snipe. Could have been. Let's see. Let's see. And my PC crashed. No, it didn't. It's back. What if I scam people? He's live on TikTok. Oh. Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't think he scammed me, but like, I mean, sniped me, but he switched versions. But I guess he was playing regular Splash earlier, so I don't know which is worse. Good luck. So Zaysov still playing I guess he's playing minor now. Disconnect somehow. Would have been mad. Oh, it's Rami's deck. Oh, this is just not great. Search it up, search what up. The admin streaming out there. Yowie Spirit? No, it's on tower. Wait, I need to go opposite lane this matchup. Since it's that. It's gonna like play it late. Yep. Yep. Does he lock? Oh, he goes for that. That's nice. That's nice. That's good damage. That's good damage. Just spamming that key. I'm not sure about the matchup. But we have V Spirit, so that helps. Does anyone know what Evos he has? He has like Wall Breaker's bats. Right? He has Stein. Oh, it's gonna be painful. We go for this here. Oh. Oh. Wait. He goes for that. Wait, I don't actually mind that. I don't mind that. Alright, so I need to not be too aggressive. But yeah. So I guess I can like Stein the bridge though, right? Right. He goes for Bomb Tower. Oh. Oh. Maybe not the greatest play. Not the greatest play by me. Yeah, he's too smart for that. I think I choked. I think we might have just choked. Oh, he's just not gonna do that. Yeah, I think we like actively choked. I'll lock here, go for Evo Skellies. Go for that E-Spirit here. Oh, I choked so badly. I hate my life. Oh, he has poison too, right? Yeah, we just choked. Yeah, pain. So much pain. Unless... Wait, that took my tower? I feel like that shouldn't have taken my tower. Those did like way too much damage, what? How did that Spear Golem take my tower? I thought I would leave it like 1 HP. I guess not. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's weird. That's just weird. Just so annoying. Like, Canon, I guess. Bro, I sold this so badly. It's actually crazy. It's actually crazy how badly I sold this. No, why are you going on the... Wait, I can ability. Just tank those. No, I'm just that. Why do I sell so many matchups, bro? It's actually crazy. Did I miss the bomb tower? Why me, bro? Why me? Why do I just like have to be bad? Just have to be bad. Bro, I had such a good start as well. Oh wait. Wait. Maybe? No. Bro, I sold so badly. That's so sad. That's so sad. He played well though. He played well. Still sad though. Like had I won that, I was like a plus 37 or something. Nate Heike got more hoes than me. What I do? I don't think Nate has more hoes than you. Don't think that's happening. It has like negative hoes. Against Lava here. ASAP is racist. I don't know. He's chill with me. He's pretty chill. I can like Hawk here. Is Riley scamming for friendlies? I don't know. First time hearing about that. I think about the new troop broken. They need to like nerf it. soon. Very soon. Like before release soon. It's just gonna be like another Goblin Machine type shit. If they don't, so. So yeah. Like Skelly Dragons, yeah. I love being a good player. Or maybe I'm not a good player. Yeah, I don't think I'm a good player. Alright, only one hit. Only one hit. Only one hit. And we get a fighter hit. And we get a fighter hit. Does he actually charge 100? Wait, who charges $100? Muhammad Light? I think so. He charges like a lot. Charges like a lot of money. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I have him at it. Somehow. Some way. Need to go in here though. Goes guards. Oh, that's so close. Not really. But he goes for the thing either, so I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Oh, that's on. I thought it was in Tar for some reason. Roddy for friendliest. Maybe. I could see that happening. Could definitely see that happening. Could definitely see that happening. But I mean, he's like a high profile player, you know? So I feel like he can get away with it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like so many people want like his friend list. Friend link. So yeah. Still I don't know. I don't know. Also boys, we need to like decide all the like I'm getting like memberships soon on YouTube, so you know, I need to like decide like price range and perks. If anyone has like any ideas, I was thinking about doing like two of them, like two tiers, max like a max of 3 maybe. Just like first one's like $1, second one's like I don't know 5 or something, and then I don't know 10. Just if anyone like is crazy. But yeah, the first one will probably be like some special emotes. There's like some special emotes. Then the $5 one, I don't know, like friend link. So like the third one, I don't know. I want to do like mini friend link first, and then like main friend link like after. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe like $1 for emotes, $3 is like all friend link, and $5 main friend link. Do you guys think this is like cool? Do you guys like agree on that? I feel like that's like a fair range. Sounds good to be fair. Yeah. Because I was never against like or for like selling friend links. I like never did it. I had like a million Twitter offers. They're just like how much for friend link, and I just like don't respond. Because I don't know. I feel like it's scummy selling friend link, but you know if it's like in memberships, then yes, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. No, for $5, not 50. 5. It's like 5 a month. But yeah, we need some like special emotes though for like $1. Also, I was like checking what other YouTubers do. They have like special Discords and shit, which I just don't think it's like worth it. You know, they have like also like sub only streams, which again, not sure if it's like that good of an idea. So yeah, I don't know about that. But yeah, the friendliest one seems like a decent idea. Only in a fat gaming. Facts. I'm so fat. I'm so fat. It's crazy. Wait, what are you typing? Somebody give this for 30. No. Trail, bro. I hate drill. How is that on the tower? Oh, that's on the tower too. Just great. Isn't this game just great? Don't you guys love this game? The great game that Clash Royale is. The great game that Clash Royale is. I don't know. I hate it. Yeah, US Kelly's. Things like back to canon. And I'm just gonna cry. Oh, it's so brain that. So Cannoneer does like way too much damage, I swear to God. Swear to God. Swear to God. Nice. We eat that. We have to at this point. Ability? On a firecracker, but that's too aggressive. It's way too aggressive. When we get membership, probably in like 2 or 3 days. It still hasn't like updated. It's like a few days late. And I probably have to get accepted as well. So yeah, but as soon as that happens, probably like a week, like at max. At max. So yeah. Like Stein here. No, why are you on the tower? It's so annoying. He's gonna like poison again. That's the gay part. That's the gay part about this. Like Canon Law just fully counters all the time. Or even like Fire Spirit, I guess. So yeah, not a fan of this. Not a fan of this. Like, bro, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Like, just drill poison. E-Spirit doesn't even, like, counter it. So brain that. So brain that, I swear to God. Congrats, you predicted that. You're so good. You're so good. Like Hawk here. Drill is just not a real matchup, bro. You need 1k subs to apply for creator code on like Clash Royale. Didn't even think about that. I don't know the requirements. But yeah, minus 38. Really? 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 For that? That's just crazy. And now we're facing RG Lightning. This is just annoying. No, it's good luck. Is there like Stein here? RG, yeah. I think he wanted to like draw. Because he's nice, but I'm streaming, so I don't like care about vowels. I mean, I do, but only to some extent. Only to some extent. That's like some good damage, though. Shouldn't have wasted E-Spirit. Yeah, didn't even like jump. Oh, that's... I have nothing for the fisherman. So I have to like count this late. Oh, that was a bad E-Spirit. Good start, but like a bad E-Spirit. It's kind of like, I don't know, evens it out. You could say. Or you could say. I don't think I needed the second count. So, I don't know. That's cool though. That's cool. That's cool. Goes. He's just gonna argue the bridge. Oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Told you. Alright, nice. Nice. Decent defense. Decent defense. Not bad, not bad. First 9 here. He might like lightning this, but then he can't really kill the firecracker, so I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Should have done it higher, maybe. It's not on tower, that's crazy. Yo, that might be on tower though. And that. So you might like fisherman, then like yo skellies. Guess not. Oh, he does. Like go for this here. Wait, why are we like winning? Huh? Huh? I didn't know we could do that. Did not know we could do that. Did not know. He has to like lightning that, right? Oh. Or just loses. Or he just loses. Good game. Good game. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, the start was really good. Start was really good. Are friends with ball again? Kind of. Kind of. Oh, please, thank you. Bluetooth hit. That's crazy. OX. Oh, this is like mortar. Like mortar. I think so. Or Hoggies. He could have like switched. I guess it is. It is mortar. Little Prince though, that's crazy. That's a crazy card to see in the big 2025. It's the crazy card to see. Why don't you check Snap? I don't know. I'm not too active on it. Oh, that's unlucky. It's unlucky. Yeah, okay, he NATOs. I'm fine with that. I'll like wait for this 9 to die so I can get another one. Alright. So I can go for like a hog. He's gonna like mortar. Then I can just go for like a Stein the bridge. Like this. I think it's like Evo Skellies, right? No, I guess he just goes for that. No, we don't hit it. Yeah, I don't think I can ability that. He's gonna like Evo Mortar if I do. So yeah, I'll just chill here. We can go in here though. Oh. Please get a hit. Nice. Wait, one more? Yo, let's go. W Firecracker. W Firecracker. That was a lot of damage. A lot of damage. That's Ruler Prince. We have to like Stein the bridge. We have to Stein the bridge. Or like a Firecracker. He might like NATO that. Yeah, log it too. Yep, we can count here. We can count him here, like go for this and just log get rid of it completely. Oh, he's just gonna do that. That's cool. Not really, but you know, it's fine. He's gonna like NATO log, yeah. He's gonna like Firecracker here. Why not? Why not? Have like Earthquake. He's like already almost back on damage. That's crazy. Hog with Firecracker? Yo, my Firecrackers are just dick sucking, bro. Just dick sucking, straight up. Straight up. Earthquake here. Does he give up? Oh, no. I thought the rocket missed. I guess it didn't. I got like a log here. Just for damage. I kinda want to earthquake, but... Bro. Bruh. What was that? No, that's unlucky. That's unlucky. Yo, firecracker, wait. Oh, my firecrackers are just built different. They're just built different. We earthquake here. We just have to. So not gonna give up. That's fair. That's fair enough. I think he's winning this. Like, they're just like, no way, right? There's just no way, right? Even if I like connect somehow. No, I can just go for another cannon. Yeah. He has like NATO that, but we go for another hawk, so pre-lock for something. See rocket? No, it's over. Bro, those firecrackers were just... They were just glazing so hard. Just glazing. Full on sloppy toppy. That's crazy. Yeah. But yeah. Let's see how high we are. Up 54. It's not too bad. How much do you weigh? Like 80 kg. And I'm like 6'1.5". Play Hog Rocket now. It's garbage. Shout out from Brazil, Alina. I love your streams and really enjoy your gameplay. Thank you, Sara. I love Brazil. Stop lying, you weigh like 120. Oh, like I weigh like 120 and I'm like 5 foot tall, huh? I'm almost the same size and age as Alina. Oh, we're against the goat. We're against the goat. Back at the bridge. Back at the bridge. No, just rage. He just rages. He just rages. Oh, just back at the back. Oh, we might be dead because we didn't have Stein. And he's just gonna like fisherman this. There's just nothing you can do about it. Like, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I could have done there differently. Like, ability this. Just pray the pack of dice. Nice. It's still so much damage, bro. So much damage. I want that dice. That's so annoying. That's so AIDS. Just no way of winning that matchup. Just no way. I love how he's starting against people. Pack, I just... Like, what could I have done there differently? After a quick here. Still get damage? He still gets damage, that's crazy. That's crazy. Just do a Hail Mary here. Just do a Hail Mary. Not a bad fisherman. It's gonna like clean everything up. Wait, maybe? No, he's just gonna like afford rage any second. Yeah, this is just over. This is just... Oh, what a great game the Clash Royale is. What a great game the Clash Royale is. How is that still on the Firecracker? And how many hits is that gonna get? Alright. Amazing. Amazing. Amazing game. There's just nothing I can do, bro. There's just nothing. Oh no, he can just rage that. Bro, this matchup is just impossible. It's impossible. Like, what am I supposed to do? Skill drift, yeah. Pretty much. Pretty much. Like, how am I supposed to kill 15,000 HP worth of troops with a cannon and a stein? This is not happening. It's not happening. 20 mini packers would stop the push. I don't think that's enough. Think you might need a bit more. No skill backpacker. Yeah. You got outkilled. You didn't die spirit in that matchup. Yeah, but that's like the only matchup you didn't die spirit in. So, not putting it in. Just nope. He's no. 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 Now you wait in queue for 12 hours. Oh, we found it. Oh, we're against Koch. We're against Koch. You like Malik Princess the Bridge. Oh. That's cool. That's cool. I'll stein the bridge. Stein the bridge. It's a lot of elixir. No firecracker. See, like rocket, prediction rocket. No, we didn't get this the first wave. Still a lot of that. Oh, please don't. Still a lot of damage up. I had gotten like the first wave. I feel like we could have gotten like a hawk hit maybe. Like they're definitely a pretty good start. So for like, when if you go for princess? Not sure he's like back to it. He's back to UI Spirit now, so it's not like this. Just in case. Yep, nice. Good, such a good stein. Such a good stein, I can't even lie. So good. So yeah, Evo UI Spirit right now in cycle. So let's see. Let's see. Oh, he goes for a cannon. Not like Princess the Bridge. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. That's cool though. That's cool. We tried. Yes, now he can't really go for like high cannons, which is not bad. It's not bad for us. Oh. Oh. Is that on the tower? Oh, that's just... It's unlucky for him. We lock here. We go for cannon. How's the tilt? We're not even tilted. Even with the loss against Fish, we're still like up. So I don't know where you're getting a tilt from. Not really tilted. You rock, is that right? Oh. He just gives up. He just gives up. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, this match was like, it's pretty good for us. He kind of like messed up in singles, so I don't know. Like usually he plays like so much better. It's like actually pretty hard. But yeah. How much you got? 27. Oh, we lost 35 here. We're losing like slightly more than we're gaining, so that's annoying. But like besides that, It's all good. Missed like a lot of chat. Play mini pack of Prince. Alina, where are you from? Nigeria. Nigeria. Recruits coming. I don't think anyone's like playing recruits. Maybe like that Zayad guy or Osama. Or like it's like 6 a.m. for Osama or like 5 a.m. And Zayad's probably like from the same type of country. So yeah. So like a lot of like Remy decks playing, so like before I joined it was just all Remy. Just all Remy. It was like Brit Spambo, I think. Right? Right? Or what? Maybe Hoggies? I actually have no clue. It's Hoggies, I'm gonna lose it. I think it's Hoggies. For fuck's sake, bro. Oh, it's Meyer? What? Oh, you're so good. You're so good. I see like NATO as well. Bro, these guys are just not real. It's gonna like fully counter it as well somehow. Just why? Just march on this time, bro. So well played. So well played, bro. Oh, so high skill. So much skill, bro. Genuinely. How to become as good as this guy? I don't think it's even possible. Not sure if it's possible. Probably isn't. Probably isn't. That doesn't even get a hit. That's a scam. That's a scam. So it doesn't have like wall breakers. But still, the start was just not it. Start was just not it. It was from Marcher there. Yeah, he's gonna like try to go opposite. Perhaps. Which I wouldn't like necessarily mind. Is that even like on the thingy? Like the tower? Of course it isn't. Of course it isn't. Go for like a hawk here. Go for a hawk. Goes for bomb tower. Let's go. We can like Stein here. We can Stein. Then we can like firecracker the miner that he's about to play. Maybe like Stein the bridge. I guess not. He goes Stein there. Let's go too. Let's go too. Wait, I need to like kill that. Firecracker here. No. Kill the Skellies. Nice. Nice. Earthquake. No, he made us. This matchup, bro. This matchup, I swear to God. I swear to God. Oh. I'm just way too early in that, nonetheless. He gets a hit. Amazing. 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 That's gonna be on the Scully somehow. Oh, I don't like this game. I do not like this game. Just not a fan. Not a fan. Not a fan. You can like March or those. Or that. Or I guess not. Wait, Evi Spear was on tower? Hello? I went for like an E-Spirit on it. What do you mean? What do you mean that she was on tower? What? Wait. Wait. I need like earthquake cycle, bro. No, it's just not possible. It's not possible. Maybe. No, it's just not. He played so garbage. He played so garbage. And still wins. Still wins. Just because of the die spirit, bro. Like, just... the spirit came back to minor. Oh, just why? Just why? How do you beat Pekka Lumberland with your deck? Oh no, against Hoggies. Just end my suffering. How do you beat Pekka? You like stand opposite of where they Pekka and just spam firecrackers. That's how you win. That was annoying just because of the die spirit we lost. Pain. So much pain. The abilities. No, that's cool with me. Hog just in case. He has the cannon, so it's cool. So it's cool. Visionaire got the top 10 will the game die. The sad thing is that he can like genuinely finish top 10 with that deck. That's the sad reality. The sad reality. Now this guy just gets King Tower. Just amazing. Just amazing. Nerf Rocket. Nerf some other cards first. Like just Earthquake is nothing. Like what? Like what? Favorite CR YouTuber? I don't watch any. I guess KFC. I had to like pick. I really had to pick. No. No, I messed up. Oh, how do you live? Why do you live? Bro. Bro. Thought the log would kill that. We thought the log would kill that. Those Kellys. Now that she goes to the left. I don't know, bro. Come back, firecracker. Useless bitch. Oh, so annoying. It's not even skill. It's not even skill. This Hoggies deck, not skill. Just brain that spam. There's so much brain that spam. Might switch to it. I think Hog is working. It's gonna earthquake. Is that even on the queen? That's not even on the queen. So sad. So sad. Log here. Yeah, this is just over. Just over. Firecracker dice too. It's quite annoying. How are you? Bro, I swear to God. I swear to God. This game just hates me. This game is just plotting against me so hard. So hard, it's not even funny. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. Like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Just can't defend, can't break through, can't do anything. That's two of just all the most unlucky matchups ever we're facing. But yeah, we're only done one game, so it's not too bad. Do you coach? No. You play so bad? Okay. Okay. And we're like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Why not use ICU Spirit? Oh. Well played. Well played. Eagle and Pekka. What? What? Bro. Can you like not? Like what? Oh, that's not even. Well played. Kiev, NATO Air's Rage. Yeah, I think he lost. I could have gotten like a hog down there. I don't want to be too aggressive. Just lose because of it. But yeah, oh, amazing. Amazing gameplay. Truly revolutionary. Just no shame. Just no shame whatsoever. Alright. Alright. This is still like very losable. This is still like very losable. It's like one good push. And it's over. I don't think I can 3-crown him. Maybe should like Stein same lane. I need to like apply some pressure, you know? You know? So wait for him to arrow, then we go for a cannon. Yep. He's gonna go all in like a retard. So we go for this. Oh, he has Z-Drac? I didn't know that. Did not know that. Oh, nice NATO, bro. Nice NATO. Well played. Well played, bro. Wait, no. Well played. 3-crowning Eagle is crazy. That's crazy. How do you... No. Not even gonna question. Not even gonna question it. He had Basque. Oh. Yeah, some players are just not real. Just not real. Pekka back first play. Night Witch behind. Ignore the Stein. Eagle on the bridge. Alina, who's best in A? The greatest Expo player alive. Also like the greatest YouTuber. He quit though like 2 years ago. So that's great. That's like sad. Not crazy. That's pretty crazy too. He's very good. He was very good. So pro player never play Pekka first play. They do. It's just how you play the deck. Just how you play the deck. Let's bring that. Actual best ever. Yeah, in my opinion, he was like the best Xbox player. He once went like 39-0 in a GT. And he had like, I think a few top 10 ladder finishes. But yeah. Yeah, Evo Age doesn't do anything for him in that matchup. Just like a freaking tower activation. So yeah. Or unless he like played it smart, then it could have like done something, but he just played like a retard. Current best Xbox players. Like Titan, Bedfast, and Mortar. I think Titan's the best. Oh, we're against Adnan again. Which is great. And now he's playing Drill. Love it. Love it. So skillful. So skillful. Drill Bomber to bridge first play. I guess after he went for a Fire Spirit. Same thing though. Same thing. Same thing really. I like Skelly's here. Then we go in. That's like Inferno Tower, right? Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. I get 2 hits though. And a bit of damage on the left. That's definitely a snipe. I don't know. That's annoying. That's annoying. I think he has like NATO as well, right? Just for that, that's cool. You go for this. Oh, he goes Hero Bomber? Wait. It's like some damage. Oh, only 1 hit? That's crazy. He wastes that. Give me 1 more? Yo, nice. And you can like activate King Tower here. Lock it. Perfect lock. Perfect lock. Alright, that was a very good start. Still not sure if he has like NATO. Still might. He might have NATO. Yeah, I think he has NATO. Alright, that's cool. That's cool. Single really this. This. No. Oh. He got a hit. He's just not. He NATOs. Yeah, this matchup just annoying. Just annoying. He wasted his log though, so wait. Let me go for like a Stein here. For Stein. Oh, I almost got a hit. Not quite though. So close to being on tower. No. No. He still has like NATO this. Right? Or yeah, he NATOs. Yo, Firecracker. Yo. Any Spirit. Firecracker again. Yo. Wait. Okay, don't give me good game, buddy. Don't give me good game. And don't try to NATO that. I guess he's still gonna try it. Wait, no. He's getting some damage. I don't like that. I don't like that. Nice. Huge Evo Firecracker. Huge Evo Firecracker. Huge. Yo, Firecracker? Bro. 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 What's this guy doing? No, he's gonna go opposite. Or? Wait. Yeah, like a lot of damage there. I don't like that. Did not like that. I can like... Give me a hawk hit. I deserve it. Right quick here. Wait. I go for this. Hog earthquake. I already need like 2 cannons here. Okay, he wasted NATO, so I think at this point it's like over. How do you lose this? How do you... Well played, bro. Well played. Well played. Very much well played. Very much well played. Well played. Can I click? Me. This guy lost to me the second time this day with building NATO. That's crazy. Happy birthday, Ahmed. Happy birthday. Yeah, Adam's not real. I have my connection cuts out. Great. Great. But yeah, happy birthday, Ahmed. Hope you spend it well. Hope you spend it well. Or is it like today? What's the time zone for you? It's like early in the morning, or is it like late at night? And is your birthday like ending? But yeah, Adnan just so bad for having such an ego. 3rd January? Oh, so I guess it's like over. Still happy birthday though. Still happy birthday. You can't PM him for just the better player. Perhaps. How old are you? 19. I thought this deck had Fireball. No, it like runs... It usually has like Rocket. Like nowadays it just runs Snado because it's even more brain dead. So, yeah. Oh, or were you asking like Ahmed how old he is? He hates you for some reason? Adnan? It's because I exposed him for being a scammer. He like blocked me and everything. That was like a year ago though. But he's still pissed. Like he always BMs me, but I mean, I just BM him back. We have like a 50-50 win rate against each other. So yeah. Go for a hawk. He's gonna like go Ram Rider, right? Yeah. So I can't really activate King here. Good play by him. Why is he a scammer? Because he scammed people. How do you mean why? He scammed people. I think I still have like video evidence. It's not like... I don't think I have it on this one. I don't know where that... I mean how? So there's like a lot of incidents. I just have like one saved. It's like some guy sent me it. Some guy like paid him for like coaching, like $50 or something, and then Adnan just like ignored him for like so many days, and then like when they like finally agreed to like do it, Adnan was just like, yo, I need like more money, so just like pay me that or you don't get coaching. And then he also scammed like Cheesecake, like a player, for... Oh, that's just spraying that. They did like a best of 3 for like $20 and he scammed him, but that's like not a big deal. At least I don't think so. But yeah, just like scamming fans is just weird. That's just weird. He got BM by Molite? Yeah, he did. That was crazy. I remember that in like CRL. Is that still a hit? Oh, it is. Nice. But yeah, I can like E-Spirit here. Might have like reach. Yeah, nice. Still get like a E-Spirit connection. I cannon here. Cannon here like pulls the Ram Rider from the other side, if anyone didn't know. So that's just like a nice tip for y'all. Might need all of that. I guess not. I guess not. We can just, I don't know, go for like another cracker here. Let's go for another cracker here. We can like activate King Tower off of that. We have so much shit going on. What the hell? Nice. We finally don't mess it up. Level 17 is crazy. Is this spirit better than High Spirit? I prefer it. I prefer it. It's just so much better against bait. So much better against bait. But yeah, now that we have King Tower, it's like basically over. Scullies? No. Nope. Alright. Oh, I guess I messed up the cannon. After saying giving a pro tip, I just don't use it. I just don't use it. Just amazing. So rude of me. Oh, that's gonna be a huge NATO. That's just gonna be a huge NATO. Swear to God. Not like this again. Not like this again. Now, does he have like maybe like one more Evo Jerk push in him? So until then, let's just pray. Let's just pray. He might like try to cycle to it. Oh, I guess he just made us. That's cool. Oh no. Oh no. Earthquake here? Maybe. If I like lock. Oh, he goes back. Yeah, I need that thing to die. Like ASAP. Like ASAP. Earthquake. And I just don't get pushed. Just don't get pushed, bro. Just don't get pushed, and we're Gucci. Let's go. Let's go. It's hard to go same lane, but yeah, that's still like our matchup. He played pretty well. He's scamming kids on TikTok, I guess. Wait, what? Oh wait, that was like old messages. 19 years old, 80 kg, 6 feet, lives in Slovenia, in a place not close to KFC. A real tragedy. A real tragedy. Do you think 3,000 else is enough for top 500? Probably not. Probably not. Is it even like top 500 right now? I don't even think it's like top 500 right now. Alright. Yeah, it's definitely not enough. Also, why is my game so laggy? It's definitely not gonna be enough. Like 3.1 though. Because like at 3,000 everyone just stops, so try to like 3.1 and it should be like more than enough. More than enough. I remember like when like one game, it was like a long time ago though, but like one game was like the determining factor between like top 1,000 and like top 500. It was crazy. It was like a game and a half. It was just so crazy because everyone just like stops at 3,000. Everyone just stops. So yeah. So yeah. But yeah. You're very good. Thank you. Hello, Towards. How you doing? Guess if we win one more, we're at 3.4, so that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Is Aragon better than best in A? In his prime, like compare both primes, no. Like right now, I don't think best in A obviously like retard. But yeah, start your brain deck. Depends. Just depends. Like a lot of times it is. I guess sometimes it requires skill, but it's usually just like RG the back, especially now we have RG the back. And just go like, I don't know, Cyclotron or like Ghost RG opposite lane. What's the most important thing against Evo Drag? With Hawk to like place. Bro, can I stop voice cracking? With Hawk, just like place Times opposite lane, just don't give him like too much NATO value. And he should be good. This guy's a lot lower than us. What the hell? What the hell? No, it's a good luck. Good luck. I'm streaming. What? Don't minor. Thank you. This matchup's kind of AIDS. Just because he has Duchess and Minion Heart. Might seem like bad, but it can be very AIDS. It can just be very AIDS. He has Inferno with Heart too. And that thing just doesn't die. Just never dies. Maybe got like a good stand though. He's a lot lower. Just a lot. He logs there, that's cool. I wasn't gonna build it anyway, so yeah. Nice. Oh. Why do you hate me? Why do you hate me? Go for this here. Yeah, I didn't want to hog. He's just gonna spam. What's your favorite deck to play? Hawk. It's so fun. So fun to play. Or good defense, actually. Good defense. Can't complain. I really want to take this damage, but I don't think I can. It's fine. We're up like a good amount just from like the towers being like different. So yeah, good defense on the wall breakers also. Pretty good defense. Can't really like do anything though. I can like hog the back maybe. I don't know. He can like Goblin Gang high. I guess he doesn't. Okay. I think we would just win at this point. He had to get it minor. Like can here go for a hog because he might princess the bridge. The princess is there. Yo. Nice. Nice. Like cannon here. Maybe I should have logged that, but I don't know. Favorite deck is Spirit Graveyard. Nice. It's a pretty good deck. Pretty good synergy. No, he goes for that. Oh, I thought he messed up again. Yes, he didn't. But yeah, let's not like lose here. It's like the goal. The goal. Princess, bro. Please die. Alright. Should I switch to this instead of peaks? Probably not. Peaks are just pretty good right now. I just prefer this because I'm weird. Yeah, pigs are like a lot better. I saw like some people running Hawk, or like a lot of people. But I don't know, I still don't think it's like good. I think it's like really good. So yeah. Just play what you're comfortable with. Also the knight. That's so much damage. That's like one more, that's crazy. That's crazy. Earthquake here. We need some damage. I hate how he doesn't go for like anything. Yeah, like E-Spirit here. Make sure. I guess we can go like call in. Kinda have to. He's got Inferno. That's cool though. That's cool. Can I go for another Cracker? Like an E-Spirit. Go for a Hawk. Go for a Hog there. Lock. Oh, maybe not the greatest lock. Potentially not the greatest lock. Wait. Let's not lose this. Alright, good game. Good game, chat. Almost choked, didn't though. That's all that matters, that we didn't choke. Yeah, this matchup is like, it looks very good, but it's like, the thing is like, the Inferno Tower is annoying, like you're just never gonna break through, and also like, the minion horde, because they're just always gonna like mine or predict it, so you have like weird firecrackers. Also like this guy plays it very well. So yeah, we're not at 3.4 though, because he was so much lower. He was so much lower. Not good. Imagine losing 40 trophies. Yeah, I would have lost 42. That's even crazier. That's even crazier. Yeah, let's do one more go. Get 3.4. Maybe call it a day. Or I just like face Remy Ali, tilt, and just spend like the rest of my boost potion here. It'll be great. That'll be a couple more games for top 1. I don't know if I want to push the top 1. I don't even know what like my goal for this season is. I already got like paid from ladder, so yeah, maybe like squeezing that top 50 on this account. It's like that's like not a bad goal. Not a bad goal. What's the thing with these clan names? What clan names? You have like a funny clan name? You mean the last army? Or combatientes? What clan do you mean? I don't know how can I improve my gameplay with picks. Just like watch better people. Watch better people, play them, and then just like try to put that into the game yourself. It's like I do it. Yeah, combatientes. And just like a chain of clans run by like some rich El Salvador millionaire. He just like sponsors like so many players to like be in the clan. Can't complain though, you know, we're getting paid. We're getting paid pretty good. So yeah. Yeah, it means fighters. But I think it was asking about like the lore. But yeah, it means fighters. So yeah. No problem. No problem. Can we find a game? I'm just gonna face someone like so much lower than me. It's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be fun. How are you reached out to join the clan? You just have to. Oh, we found the game. No, it's another like drill NATO. For fuck's sake, bro. But no, you just need to be like a top layer player, and they'll like DM you. Just trust me, they'll DM you. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Maybe I didn't need to log there, but I don't know. Oh, this matchup is so AIDS. Wait, he messed up. He didn't mess up that time though. Newbie's a very good player. Not really. Not really. I don't see it. He's just running like drill, so. Yeah, not hard to run drill. Still waiting to drill. I'll accept you after the stream. I'm still streaming. So yeah. So yeah. Just wait a bit. Nice. Nice. So much skill, bro. So much skill. Oh, just painful. Where was my lock? So much skill, bro. You can just log that. Or I guess he made us. Go for this here. Lock here quick. Nice. Don't even think it matters. He's gonna like a cannon. Right, terrible cannon. Oh, I guess he just goes for that. It's so brain that. It's so brain that. It just is. Nothing but brain that. Unreal for hog, yeah. Yeah. Like what? Like what? Just the most random place. They just like never matter. Like it's not even playing good. Can like NATO back. That's like the craziest part. Just get away with it fully. Just fully get away with it. Goes for drill defense. That's crazy. It's a crazy play. Like what? This game is just not real, bro. Swear to God, just not real. It's not real. Didn't need to log that, but it's cool. Like, what are those plays, bro? Just what? How did my fire? I can't. I just can't, bro. Can't be asked. Can't be asked. So brain that. So brain that. So fucking brain that, bro. Like, what am I supposed to do genuinely? Genuinely, what am I supposed to do? Just NATO's everything back. Not a single care in the world. Just not a single care in the world. About anything. Because it's impossible. No, I don't know, man. I don't know. Cooked. I wouldn't call that cooked. I wouldn't call that match, losing that matchup, getting cooked. There's just like literally no way to win. What'd you think of penalty shootout? I don't watch football. I don't watch football. Sorry. Wrong guy. Someone just sent me a screenshot of a chat of, or yeah, screenshot of chat of our stream. The way he hogged the Brit so tough. What the fuck? Or against friend. Or against another lava player. Good luck. I have the demote on my account, on this account. It's quite unlucky. It's quite unlucky. Would have definitely given it to him. But yeah, I'm friends with friend. Does anyone know who hits like Arrows or Fireball? Does anyone know? I guess I can Stein, why not? I can hear the in-game sound. It's not turned on. It's not turned on. Arrows app, thank you, Ahmed. Thank you. Yeah, I don't have it turned on. I should probably turn it on though. Are you sure it's arrows? Maybe he just like didn't have them in cycle. Like, are you sure? You go for Hawk here. He still defends that? That's crazy. That's crazy. I thought he would like sack it. I think he had to sack that, right? Never really get anywhere. Get anywhere in life. He's not Erzing. I guess he goes Eros now. I'm like Stein here. It is Eros. It is Eros. I don't like ability, all that, so I'll place it like that, you know? Just so it doesn't like, because if I place it here, just like, it's like out of the ability range. So that's why I did that. And I couldn't like ability too soon, because then the pups would just like survive. Be annoying, you know? Just be annoying. The days get back to another hawk. But yeah. If I go Firecracker, he's just gonna like Skelly Dragons high. Right? Yep. Knew it. Just for that, that's cool. Hog gets a hit. Hog gets a hit. Now I can go for this here, cause yeah. Oh wait, no, why did I think it was gonna chain like this way? I'm just dumb. I'm actually just dumb. I'm actually just retarded. Why did I? Yeah, not the smartest player. Not the smartest player that I am. And now I lose. Amazing. Amazing. Maybe not completely. Wait. 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 Like key spirit here. Right? No. No. And like pre-log the Valk. Yo, ain't no way. Oh. That was close. Did he even have Ego Valk? I feel like he did. I feel like he did. Like in cycle. Or maybe I'm just tripping. Oh no, he didn't even have it. I was so scared for no reason. So scared for no reason. That was a good comeback though. I know what those Skelly Drags were. Should like hogged right away. Yeah, those Saras like kind of fucked me up. They killed like the E-Spirit. So yeah. Why they just not there for so long in the game? Maybe he didn't have it. Maybe he didn't have it. Not sure though. Yeah, let's win one more. Wait, how much do I have? How much longer do I have this? Alright, an hour. So yeah, you really play without sound? I can't play without sound. I mean, I'm streaming, so I don't think it matters if I have sound on. Yeah, someone said that like if you don't have sound on, or like a lot of people said, if you don't have sound on, it like improves connection somehow. And I was like, just like, that's retarded. And then I tried it and like worked, and then like stopped working. And then I just like haven't turned it on since. But yeah, I used to play with sound on. Now for a 12-minute queue time. Let's go. Let's go. Try closing. No, just trust me, I've tried everything. I don't have any background apps. Nothing. And just how it is. I've gotten used to it. Oh, we're against Invader. Against Invader. Does anyone know if he has like, or like what spells he has? I like cycled with my firecrackers. Can you tell me your favorite joke? I don't have any jokes. I don't have. I was trying to think of something funny. Nothing came up. Nothing came up. I can tell you a joke though. This channel, my channel. My channel is a joke. Please kill the balloon. Nice. Like Skelly's here. Also, what's the invader doing high? That's crazy. This boy is just not good. He's a good guy, but just not a good player, bro. Why is he high? Why is he high? Fireball zap. Alright, nice. That's better than the previous thing. Go for a Hawker. He's gonna like Valk or something. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. But yeah, who let invader this high? That's crazy. That's crazy. I go Stein here. Alright, nice. Thank God I like lived on 0 HP. Thank God I lived on 0 HP. I would have been so pissed. Would have been so pissed. Oh. 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 It's like Firecracker this. It's a bit of an unlucky start. I need to like let the Stein die. Or he fireballs that, that's fine with me. It's fine with me. Need to let the thing die so I can like get back to another one. He's gonna like try to do something funny. Alright, so I need like another Hawk hit, an Earthquake, and just stall out. He doesn't have enough time, I don't think. I don't think he has enough time. I'll like block the bridge here. Block the bridge. Go for this. Pop the ability. Just stall this out. Just stall it out. Just stall it out. Yeah. GG's. Good game. Good game. Yesterday you said you and him. Did I say that? I think I was shit talking Invader yesterday. Maybe like other people. Invader doesn't ring a bell. Doesn't ring a bell. Anyways, we won. No, he wasn't trying to go for king. He just tried to like go lava that side so that he could like lava loon the pocket, if that makes sense. But yeah. What top are we? Top 30. Let's go, boys. Let's go. I'm watching his stream. He's complaining about how broken Stein is. Fair enough. Wait, is he live? Where does he stream? On like Twitch, maybe? On Twitch? Like, why would you say Stein is broken when he's running Jeff? But yeah, I'm Alina Gaming #1 fan. Let's go. No, he went for King Tower. Balloon went to the tower. Yeah, because I like did the cannon. But no, he like sure like he went for the King Tower, but like he was gonna like lava the pocket. And then like Loon. So yeah. I don't know, we're top 30 though, that's pretty high. It's pretty high. I would say this was a W push. We pushed like 100 medals. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Wait, how are we? 40. We'll be like top 20 if we win one more. But I kinda wanna like end the stream. Kinda wanna end the stream. He's on YouTube and Twitch. Fair enough. Fair enough. Did this guy wanna get accepted? Someone was here earlier telling me to accept him. Said he's top 5,000. Already in a clan. I think this guy. There we go. There we go. I guess we can accept this guy. He is ultimate champion, so. Oh wait, clan is full. Clan is full. Oh, they're both online. They're both online. Wait, there was some guy who like hasn't been online in like a bit of time. So yeah. How many ultimate champions do we have? 29, that's crazy. This guy also has another one. Let's get another one. Let's go. Do you have a matchup against Lava? I don't even know. I don't even know. Those like Skelly Dragons kind of like fucked me up. They weren't good, but they just like so happened to be good because it killed like my Evo Skelly push. Oh, I'm not on the right account. But they just like killed my Evo Skelly push. So close to getting kicked. Wait, what's your name? What's your name? Oh, I think PP28, right? I think that's you. But yeah, do you guys want to do like a watch party now? I guess not many people are playing right now. Yeah, PP. We can watch the Fishinator play. You guys want to see that? He's against Ko. Oh, I think he just. Oh, I guess he whispered. Bail out. Oh, Fishinator, bro. Not a real human being. Not a real human being. Swear to God. Swear to God. Gob Giant left. Yep. Yep. Oh, nice arrows. Nice arrows on the princess. Nice arrows on the princess. You want me to push top 10? I don't know. I don't know. Watch party, please, with your comments. Alright, Fishinator goes for a P.E.K.K.A there. Fisherman for the princess. Can he break through? Or will he just get rocket cycle to that? That was a terrible Goblin Giant. He can just rocket that. Prediction arrows, nothing. Rages. Oh, that rage actually hit something. Wait. That card is not real. That card is actively not real. Alright, Ko goes for princess. Fishinator cleans up with a bomber. Damage lead. About 450 for Ko. I mean for Fishinator. Can he hold it though? Can he hold it? Ko does have rocket, which is gonna be a huge factor in this game. You have Invader at it? No, I don't think so. Goes for Kandera. This is looking pretty good, pretty bad for Ko actually. With the Evo P.E.K.K.A coming down. And the Goblin Giant. Fisherman. Goes for Cannon. Knight. Good defense by Ko so far. I actually go with the defense. But he needs like 2 rockets to win. So can he get him? Can he get him? Viper. Oh, that jumps on the wrong thing. Yeah, that Viper went to waste. Just went to waste. We had 2 rockets. Yeah, it's not happening. Or wait, is rocket locked enough? No, it's not. Damn, just the one like Goblin Giant that like slipped through. That's crazy. That's crazy. They would have gone crazy if you had top 10. Perhaps. How low is this account though? Top 90. We can push this one like tomorrow. And then on Sunday, like the last day, we can, I guess, just like finish pushing. Maybe do like a watch party too. Because like that day is like a lot of people are gonna have like a goated friend list. We have Sofiane, he's number 1 right now. We have Ijihu, he's number 3 right now. We have Dams, a potentially better Hawk player than us. We have Roy, we have all the Muhammad Light accounts, we have Asaf, we have Betfus, we have Polaris, we have Sandbox, we have the Goat Fishinator, Oyasu, we have Nate, we have Nate, we have Lucas, we have Lucas, yeah, like a lot of people. We have Remy, Issei, Hugo, who else? Coco, Pompeo, Surgical Goblin. Oh, Nate's online. Wait. Go for, I don't know. Let's play Hog. Go. Where are you? Friendly Bell. Will he accept? Put the royal chef in the tower troop. No, I don't think it works in Hawk. Top 90, sheesh. No, wait, I just timed out someone. No, undo. Undo. I accidentally did that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was just like clicking mouse buttons. I'm sorry. Uh, I'm sorry. Or like I removed your message. I'm so sorry. But yeah, is Juicy J better than you? No, that boy's awful. You have me at it, which is the best. What? The only thing that I care is if you have Tourist at it. I think I have him, but I don't think he's playing. Or even if I don't, I can just ask him. He has like some new accounts, I think. I think I should have him at it. Yeah, Nate's not accepting this. But yeah, watch party for season end. Good work. They need new card will synergize with any Hulk critics. Some people are saying it's gonna be like pretty good in Hulk, which I can see. But I don't know. Yeah, Nate's not accepting. What a bitch. What a bitch. So yeah, I guess Fissionator and Polaris are playing. We can watch that. Oh, Fissionator against Dybala. That's crazy. I think Dybala sniped him. That boy Bala has been like sniping like the entire day today. He like called me earlier, was like, yo, let's snipe some guys in a voice call. And I'm like, alright. And then we like VC'd and he just like played 2 games in 2 hours. Just I don't know. I don't know, bro. He really wants this top 50 finish. And he's just not getting it. He's gonna like lose the Fissionator now. Or maybe not, because that boy can't hit his arrows. Yeah, I think Bala wins here. I think Bala wins. Juicy J's terrible. He doesn't like play anymore. Not the greatest guards. I think Bala wins. He should win here. It's like a winning position. It was like so free for Bala. Wait, Stein the bridge. He missed. How do you... Oh, wait. Ability? Can he get on arrows? Oh, so close. So close. Also, why is the ball like top 30 now? I don't like that. Do not like that. Oh, I see. I think he's been just sniping for like the entire day. Because that was definitely a snipe. Ain't no way bro's higher than me. You know, alright, we have to do one more now. Can't let Ball be higher than me. That's just not happening. That's just not happening. We're doing one more. Go VC with Ibala. I don't know. I have like VC on my phone, which is just not ideal. It's not ideal. Don't type it. Oh, we might face Fissionator. We might face him. That would be preferred. Did you ever snipe someone? I don't think so. I don't think so. Or like probably did, but I don't like recall it. I don't really recall it. For the top 18 finish, I don't think I sniped anyone. I wanted to get like a free win from a friend. And we didn't queue and I got like a free matchup after, but I won't say that's a snipe. I don't think I genuinely sniped anyone ever. Maybe like a year ago or something. I definitely like tried to snipe people, but I don't think I ever like hit it. Is the ball good? No. Garbage player. Garbage. Don't tie if you face the ball. Yeah, we're not tying him. I don't think he's gonna play though. He's too big of a bitch to play anymore. You snipe in IRL. No, the ball is really bad. Yes. You have to be good to hit top 100. Not really. Not have you ever seen the ball's face? I met the Dybala like IRL. I don't think any of you know that. Yeah, we live pretty close. We met like last year in December, like 2023. Heard I sniped Juicy J? I don't recall sniping Juicy J. I don't know where you're getting that from. Hello, Nels. I think see a giraffe. He's like so small. It's crazy. Balls from Italy. Can we find the game, bro? Can we? Can we? Wait, what was like the last game here? Alright, Invader. Name a famous Slovenian. Donald Trump's wife. Donald Trump's wife. That's a famous Slovenian for you. There's one. There's one. Yeah, I think we're finding a game. No. No. So sad. What about Jenna Ortega? Oh, we found the game. No. Why me? Why me? Woe is me. Just three, it's crazy. Those guards. Not gonna spear that maybe. I don't think it's gonna connect, but maybe. I guess it, bro. Just stop. Just stop. 10 times better than any other top player. Yeah, Mo is just like built different. No dick sucking. Actually full on dick sucking probably, but yeah. Mo is just him. It's so annoying. No, I'm not gonna get back to Firecracker. I don't think I could have like cannon protected that. I just don't think that would have worked. He might rage that. Doesn't matter. Is Nikoko good? I mean, he has a top 1 finish, so he's not bad. He's not really bad. Yeah, we can stand like this. Player shit slightly far and he'll miss spells. I guess that's kind of true. It's kind of true. We can like log all this because he might like ability. Yeah, now he just doesn't have anything for the Firecracker. We can like Hawk here actually. He might like guards. Oh. Like Skellies. It's not like a bad start. We survived single, which is pretty huge. It's pretty huge. But yeah, I can like Firecracker here for the Fisherman. Go for like this. Like Bomber. Yeah. Doesn't even matter that you like predicted it. Just doesn't even matter. What, Firecracker here maybe? Maybe do something? Maybe. Wait. We're cooking. We might be cooking. Wait, I need to go for like a Hawk here. Wait. I guess you can just pack now. Or arrows. That's cool. You can like lock. Go for any Spirit Skellies here. Oh, we're down a bit. We're down a bit. So he doesn't have Evos. Or does he have Evo Gob Giant now? I think he might have that. Yeah. He does. Wait. I don't know what to do, bro. Like ability this, go for another cannon. Go for this. Wait, yo, Skellies. No. No. I'm not doing what I wanted. Please. Please, no. 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 Wait, he ignores that? We go all in. We have to go all in. Yeah, Pekka. Wait, 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 wait. Ain't no way, 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 ain't no way. Let's go, boys. Let's go. Let's go. Top 15. Oh, you just love to see it. You just love to see it. Let's go. Let's go, boys. Let's go. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Oh, of course. The good old classic. The good old. Just never gets old. Just never gets old. I unsubbed because you BM fish, bro. Had to happen. Had to have happened. Let's go top 15. Let's move this slightly lower so, you know, the date is clear. That's going on Twitter. Nice. You can't even dislike. Dislike who? I told you that you will win. Thank you. Alina, I think you win easily. How is this the pack? I got giant with Hawkstein. Let's see how I play. Yeah, it's pretty bad matchup. It's a pretty bad matchup. Fish's goat. Alina is best with his deck. No, this guy's like also playing the same deck, so yeah, he might be better. He doesn't have a better finish, but I think he might be better. Do you vape? I've never vaped. It's don't vape, kids. Don't vape. Smoke cigarettes. Smoke cigarettes instead. Wait, what? Amir Jojo's top 10? No, he's not. We're top 15 though. We're top 15. Let's go. He's not top 10. What do you mean? Oh, wait, what? How did I miss that? The fuck? Do you snooze? No. I've tried, but I just like... I just like throw up. I don't know. I don't know. That's what's illegal. The way he pressure with Gob giant guard to the bridge is so tough. It is. It's so tough. Can I play your deck? I guess I can play your deck. Not oh. Wait, I need to charge my phone. Wait. I love Alina 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Nate would have lost that. Nate would have lost that. Wait, let me charge my phone. Let me charge my phone. Do you know Yappa? Yes. Yeah, I can play this guy's deck, sure. Oh, speaking of Fishinator. Evo Bats, Evo Mortar. Wait, no, I don't have it on this account. I don't even have like cards on this account. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. I don't have like the Evos or the levels. They go for top 10? I don't, probably not. I just want to like one more to pass the ball. So yeah. I don't know, this season's not looking like too bad for us. You know, it's looking like decent. One more would be like here, top 12. It's not even like that big. Yeah, so probably not. I heard you beat Fish in Advanced Royale server. Wait, what? Wait, let me check. Wait, let me check that server. What? What? Who sent it? Wait, I'm so far back. No, it's like the last messages they ball beating him. I don't know where he got it from. Not sure he got that from. Oh wait, just watching Lustalina too. Oh, I guess that. Mo washed, yeah. Mugi's gonna win this year, trust. You wouldn't choke the baddie with a top 10. I need like 2 more for top 10, bro. 2 more is crazy. That's good. A top 15. We take those. We take those. We can see if anyone's like playing. If anyone is playing, we can like spectate. It's like 2 a.m. So I don't think anyone's like actively playing. I guess we can spectate Lucas X Gamer, or the Fishinator. Boys, no. Do you want Lucas or Fishinator? Are you for? Oh, I guess Lucas playing Clan Wars. So yeah, we'll just spectate Fishinator. I don't think Clan Wars is that much fun. Are you first in Slovenia though? I'm first and second by like 1,000 trophies. By like 1,000 trophies. You want to spectate Burko? I guess we can spectate Burko. Learn some huggies. Where is he? Here he is. He's like slightly lower. I think he lost. Not really lost, but yeah, I think he's winning this. From this position. You should have like 1k viewers and maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I love YouTube. I love YouTube. TikTok doesn't have like good monetization for like any country besides like 5. And also like, I don't know. TikTok is just like full of kids. So yeah. Don't want to hear all the brain rot jokes. I mean, we have enough brain rot in this chat, but you know. We have a whole mini pack, I mean. It just won't go away. Oh, the queen lift. But yeah, this is pretty unlucky for Burko. I don't even think it's like that bad of a matchup. Just, I guess he had like an unlucky start. Or not really like a start, just like a middle of the game defense. By the way, if you stream on TikTok, you would actually have like 500 viewers all the time. Maybe. I don't know, I wanna like grow on YouTube. First. TikTok, yeah, but they eat up good players. All the streamers are mid. Yeah. I don't know, I feel like everyone streams on TikTok, so like the competition's like pretty big. Where on YouTube there's like who even like streams daily. Like Hypno Nate, maybe like SK, I guess Boss. Adnan always had so many viewers. But they actually make a lot on TikTok. I don't know, I think German is monetized, so I think he makes like a good amount. He has like a lot of viewers. But I don't know, I love YouTube. I saw some streamers streaming both platforms. Yeah, but it's like hard to reach chat from both. I guess like a lot don't like reach chat at all. Which is cool. But that's like, I don't know. At that point you're just like streaming solely for money. So yeah. Adnan banned me on TikTok. That's crazy. Everyone's playing like such boring decks. How much percentage does TikTok take from? I have no clue. Yes, let's spectate Fishinator. 50%. Let's check ping in after stream. I swear. Yeah, no, I saw it. I saw it. But yeah, Fishinator is like strong. Oh, he gets a pack of hate. Of course he does. This guy just also has that Golden Giant into like Cannon Card Mother Witch. It's a crazy Golden Giant. I guess he goes back in front still though. That was a. How is this guy? This guy was top 3 yesterday, bro. Wait, does this actually like work? Oh, it doesn't. Or? Ain't no way. Fisherman. Oh, he doesn't block it. That like almost worked. He scams with friendly pushing out. Yeah, Adnan's just a scammer. Dog post YouTube videos. I don't know what to post. I should though. I should try. I should really try to post YouTube videos. Just not fully rely on streaming. He beat Muhammad Light, so you can expect anything from him. Who beat Muhammad Light? Oh, Fishinator? Yeah, that's crazy though. 2 times world champion loses like this. Says a lot about the game. A lot. Can you play a game with my hog deck? I don't have it maxed, probably. Also, we're probably gonna like end the stream. Maybe tomorrow. Holy fish, bro. How high is he though? I feel like he's top 50 at least. Right. No, top 70. Alright, that's cool. So I guess we can watch some Burko. Bro's still alive. Shut up. Yeah, it's like almost like it's over like 2 a.m. Unlucky for Burko. Unlucky for. Why is Bosk playing lava though? What? 69 because he. No. Post TikToks? I don't know. I don't know. Skull doing something interesting. Oh, he won. You only play ladder during stream? At this point, yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. For like the past week, I haven't played like, I don't think like a single ladder match that wasn't on stream. I genuinely don't think I played a single ladder game. Besides like when I'm streaming. Yeah, Fishner cannot free matchup here. This is just impossible to lose. He's against Vu, but Vu's playing like Spear Goblins, Bats. Genuinely impossible to lose. But Fish will find a way. Is Sara on title Lira? No, it's a song, dumbass. It's a song. What? Are you slow? And also it means like, maybe it's because I love you. So it's not even like a name. I thought it was a name though, like long ago. Then I asked Ibala, and he told me that, no, you're retarded. Nadi Lucas, that's what he said to me. So yeah. You're going to sleep. Finally, bro. Fine, I should go to sleep too. It's too late. It is a name? Yeah, I know it's a name, but like, not in that context. Not in that context. But yeah, as I said, this is just free for Fish. Nothing opponent can do to stop. You're just jealous because I'm better than you, perhaps. Watch Fish misplace guards. Fisherman rage and still win by spamming the bridge. Yeah, 3 crowning him in a single after like misplacing everything is crazy. This game is just skillful. Skillful. Says sarcastically. He already won by the time we type that. Is Yoko playing piggies? He might be. Yeah, he is against Koch. Looks like a bit of a very unlucky matchup for Yoko. Also, I don't know why he let the princess get a hit, so maybe he like lagged. Is Alina her name? No. Sorry, baby, I was looking after our children. We do not have children. What do you mean? Yes, I'm a girl. I'm a trans woman. Should just like actually become trans. Just like fully live into the joke. Oh, that would be amazing. That would be. Just imagine. Have you ever faced Muhammad Light? A few times. A few times. Also like beaten him a few times. I think like 2 or 3 times. One was in a YouTube video. You say N-word IRL. I've done like a pact to not say the N-word for the rest of 2025. Or like for the full 2025. Not even like type it. Not even type. I shouldn't be saying this on stream. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna last. Alina referred to me as Cardi. Fair enough. Fair enough. Remember that old nightstand? No. Shut up. Oh, Yoko just gave up. Can't blame him. I say the N-word. No. I think if I saw Alina IRL, he would call me a racial slur. Perhaps. Perhaps that would happen. Nikoko against Vu. Only Coco swap decks. I thought you were a girl at first, but watching your tweets just changed me. Alright. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. That's pretty fair. So many people think I'm a girl. It's like crazy. Also, like so many like viewers just like see the stream. And they're like, oh, I thought this was a girl. It's like, nope. Nope. You're watching me play. Alright. and you're gonna like it. You're gonna like it one way or another. One way or another. Or another. I can't speak. It's too late. Can you blame them? Yes. You know, I found out, if you have like a problem, just always blame others. Just always blame other people. It's great. And just a great way to go about life. I think you have more skill with Hogwarts than Ian said. No, definitely not. Definitely not. That's just not true. That's not true. But yeah, Ian's pretty good at it. Ian's pretty good at it. Imagine you go home slightly tanned and you run into Alina. What's that supposed to mean? What's that supposed to mean? Genuinely. Genuinely. Your wall breaker? Nice. How long is your lock? 8 inches soft. That's my real and honest answer. Why no one plays this stinking mortar bait with Marwich? I think Marwich like works in mortar. Just doesn't fit that well. Stop it, Chad. This is not. Nicole at night is crazy. Don't disrespect my goatee. What? I called him better than me. What do you mean? How am I disrespecting him? Jeez, bro, natural. It was 9 baby. Why are you lying? Alright. Why am I like gaining viewers from spectating Fishinator and others? Oh, I think Fishinator against Lumi maybe? Oh, Fishinator against Riley. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's gonna be a good one. Asa finished number 1 with more debate Marwich. Yeah, I guess that's true. But like in that meta, like it worked out. Like not too badly. Also, I think he like sniped someone with that deck. He didn't like actually run Marwich, I don't think. Alina, why the fuck you went in a date with a man yesterday? Cause I'm gay. I'm gay. The second best player in the world with loads of earnings. No. No. I think this is pretty free for Riley with Inferno Tower. Wait, you weren't with Nate? Nate wishes. I once roasted Nate so badly. He was like, get out of my DMs. And I just told him that I'm like the closest thing to a girl he'll ever see in his DMs. Also, Riley just lost. Or maybe not. He doesn't have a spell. That was like, I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud of that. Just I'm the closest thing to a girl you ever see. He got pretty pissed. He got pretty pissed. Alina and Nate have never been in a date. Luckily. But yeah, I thought Fish won. But just wasted all his spells. So yeah. What's your date of birth and last name? No. Just no. You're not getting that. That's like funny. It is. It is. I'm a bit of a comedian myself. Alina finally came out of the closet. No. No. Yeah, I don't think Visionary's making a comeback. Don't think that's happening. But a man can dream. A man can dream. But yeah, again, he doesn't have spells. No, it's over. You're not funny, just weird. A bit of both. A bit of both. Oh wait, is Lumi playing? Completely forgot. Oh, he's against Vu. There's like a big L for Lumi if he loses like a lot of medals. A shit ton of medals. Oh, he has like more than that. Yeah. Like poison, right? Or just lock. I think he's just gonna lock, yeah. You're a nerd, goofy boy. I'm just not a nerd. I'm just here for fish gameplay. Let's watch this Luminary game, then we can watch some fish. See mortar? He has the mortar, right? Oh. Did he like lag? Did he lag or something? Or wait, no. Wait, chat, is he cooking? Is he cooking? Because he has the poison. He goes evil mortar, right? Wait. The right. That's on tower. What's for that? No, I think we defended. That was a good defense, though. Good attempt by Lumi, though. That was pretty smart. Just all around smart. But that didn't really work out. What's with Nate's clan name? Why does he have beef with everyone? What's Nate's clan name? I'm not too sure of that. Not up to date with the details. So like Riley. Yeah, unlucky for Luminary. This is like minus 42 for him. It's pretty sad. But yeah, let's go. The GOAT is playing. The real GOAT is playing. The real GOAT. Does he just win here? I think that's a pack ahead, right? Or can he lock? Oh, I guess he can. Yeah, at this point it's just over for Fishinator. You guys want to watch some Riley? I saw he was playing. Only have one Riley. Oh, he's just playing this. Never mind. You only have one Riley account at it. It's pretty sad. He doesn't like me. Carnage's clan name is Alina Love. Ain't no way. Never watch you play, bro. I'm top 15. We played for like 2 hours. Watch a Golem player. The only Golem players I have are like Scythe and Newbie. So like a very good player and just a fat retard. It's kind of like inconsistent. Wait, did Fish like actually win here? Yo, Fish. Wait, I think Fish just won. Wall breakers. We take those. Is Golem even more good? It was good like at the start of the season somehow. But I think it like has fallen out of the meta completely. Does Fish like know how to defend? That's a dumb question. Of course he doesn't. That's a dumb question. I swear to God if he chokes this somehow. Oh, he actually like, predicted the Marcher. Did not expect that. Why did you BM Fish though? Because he BM'd me like a week ago or something. Does Fish know he has to like cycle spells? Yes, now he does. But yeah, oh, he wasted the wall breakers. Yeah, Fish won this. Somehow. You deserve to get BM though. Maybe. The way he doesn't defend and goes Goblin Giant Guards is so tough. I just imagine like sometimes Fish just goes like Goblin Giant Guards or like Stein Guards the bridge first play and the opponent just goes P.E.K.K.A back first play like opposite. And Fish just like 3 crowns him or something or like just wins off of that. It's probably pretty crazy. Crazy world that we live in. Stop nerfing this shit they buffed it with a new card. Yeah. Not sure how well or like in what decks the new cards are gonna fit though. Because a lot of people were saying that it will like fit in Hawk. I need to stop with the voice cracks, bro. But yeah, a lot of people are saying they will like Fitting Hawk. So, we're praying for that. I think Hunter could get top 10, finish if he played full season of meta decks. No, Hunter's just like stuck on X-Bow or like on Ice-Bow. It's so hard to like, if you're a one trick, to just like learn a new deck. Also for like Hunter. Maybe if you like drill Nado, but I don't know. Probably not. He's like Icebow playstyle, just like so much. Oh, did fish log off? Boys, someone else is playing. Someone else is playing. But the eyes were just like way too unique to like transfer any skills. In my opinion, though. In my humble opinion. But yeah, Nate is playing, boys. Nate is playing. The man on our thumbnail. The man on our thumbnail. Let's go. Let's go. Can he win? Or will he lose? Let's do like a quick poll. Nate wins. Yes, no. Start poll. Start poll. Can I vote? No, I can't vote. No. Just the first vote is no. Oh wait, I wasn't even like paying attention. Nobody's only 24/7, man. In game Twitter everywhere. Huh? Oh, this guy. I never like heard of him. Naturally loses this. Hopefully, we're praying on his downfall. We're praying on his downfall pretty badly. Pretty badly. But let's see. Apparently he's a nobody. Perhaps. Perhaps. Chat, Nate is like winning this. I don't like it. I don't like, oh, just rockets. You can like back out the back now, right? Yeah, I'm like how Nate's winning. We do not like that. We do not like that. We need Nate to lose. Alright, some split lane pressure. How's your day? I woke up from the party yesterday. It's 8:38, that's crazy. Wait, did Nate? Oh, Nate got disconnected. Let's go. Let's go. We take that. We take that. We take that. It took you 15 minutes to log into this account. Fair enough. Alina curse is real. We're just the whole chat is just like praying on Nate's downfall that like actually worked. It actually worked. Oh, bro's back online. Bro's back online. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. We can watch some Luminary play. He's like top 5 right now. Or maybe like top 10 because he like tilted a bit. Or I guess only lost like one game. Man, a girl kissed me, what the hell? Damn. W, why that? W. W, man. I won the poll. Does this mean I get a pass? What do you mean you won the poll? What do you mean you won? That's still a bit goated, right? We'll see in 2025. I feel like he can like definitely like qualify again at least. If not like place pretty high. Lumi's the go-to mortar. Yeah, definitely like the best mortar player. Definitely. Like the best mortar bait player. I wish it was Alina though. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Yeah, Pedro's better. That's why I corrected myself saying it's mortar bait. But yeah, Pedro's like definitely like the mortar goat. That cannon card just did a 360. Did anyone else see that? That boy just did a 360, just flexing on us. She was white bro blonde. Nice. Nice. How much did Joker pay to join his clan? $70 this season. So that's decent. It's pretty decent. Actually, it's very decent considering like how like not that high I am. I mean, I guess I'm top 15, but I don't think I'll finish there. I'm not sure if I'll finish there. But yeah, they have like so much money, so much money. And they're like kind of desperate too. I was like telling like the guy that like recruits people to like that I want to like stay in my own clan, and he just like kept going. He's a good businessman. He just like kept going. Like offering more money, and then I was just like, all right, sure, I can join with like one account. Stay with main for the followers, for the followers, for you guys. So yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah, Lumi wins this. Nice. It's like pretty bad for Lumi, I feel like. Definitely not easy. Definitely not easy. Pekka held so hard to judge. I think they fixed it. I actually think they fixed it on the. I saw like a post on Twitter. They fixed it. Or at least that's what they said. But but the girl I had eyes on disappeared, man. Big L. Oh, that's unlucky. That's unlucky. Next he wins season shop. Pekka. Pekka's gonna be in the season shop. It's gonna be Pekka. Right after they nerf it. Amazing. Right on Canada. That's cool. Clans are useless. Pro scabbing. Wait, who's scabbing? Oh, Fissionator's playing. Let's go. Why the fuck is your streams more than my girlfriend? Wait, no, Fissionator. He's losing. He's losing. He's losing. No, not Fish Pro. Not Fish Pro. This joke you get from sponsoring clients. I don't know. He just like has passion for it. Can't hate him though. We're all getting paid. We're all getting paid, so I don't know if anyone can hate on that. Unless you're not getting paid, then get good. Get good. I mean, Alina streams. Brain that against brain that I please. Yes, Stein is just not real. Stein is just not real. Trias made a joke video saying they'll give 2 euros in season shop. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I don't think that's happening. But yeah, unlucky. Oh, he's already in another game. Of course he is. Of course he is. I guess it's like not that late for him. They have girls in Nepal. That's crazy. That's crazy. But this is like another impossible matchup for Fissionator. Just impossible. Like, why don't you bomber that or something? Like, I get that you want to go all in, but it's not gonna work. Do you have Ta edit? No. I don't have like Ta and Mugi. But like besides that I have like everyone. I have Mo, I have Lucas, Riley, Basoto. Who else? There's like a CRL player. I have like Pedro's mini account on like my second account. Or like my old second account. Why is blood milking content? I'm open about it though. I'm open about it. They all know I'm just farming watch hours. They all know. They all know. Hello, Prof though. Also, Prof, why do you have beef with Bella? Why do you have beef with Bella? Like, why does she hate you? What'd you do? What'd you do? If he's even still here. Me and Ball. No, not Bala. I mean Bella. Bella. The girl on Twitter. Wait, did Fish just win? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. What? Or maybe he did. Oh, I guess he did win. I was like, Olaf can still come back. Nope. Not from this. Not from this. Oh, Bella, she's a speed. She got mad over me calling someone ugly. Oh, I fumbled her so badly. I fumbled her so badly. She was so into me. And I just fumbled. You need to see that. That was crazy. That was like, that from like the greatest risk ever to just like, to just I don't even have words. You fumbled her. The fuck did you? It was going so great, but you don't understand how great it was going. She was saying some like retarded shit. Some like, um, can I say these words? I don't know, like down bad shit about me. So I started like saying some back. And then I sent something like too retarded. And it was just over. It was just over. Hello, Atra. Hello, Atra. We're just talking about how Alina Gaming fumbled a baddie. Ah, still mad about it. Still mad about it. The Fishinator won. Let's go. Let's go. My condolences. uh, would you trust the ball to babysit your kids? No. Hey, yo, we got a girl on the stream? No. Was it a new day though? Not quite. Didn't get quite there. That's so crazy. So crazy. Will Fish find another game? Top 64. He's just like in the same range forever. Wait, the goat is playing. Boys, the goat is playing. Do you know her IRL? No, she's from like South Africa. It's like completely opposite side of the world. But still. Also, what's Nate doing? Nate got disconnected again. What? What's bro doing? What's bro doing? I guess what's his Wi-Fi doing? You're not. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Second time. Yeah, we saw him like disconnect earlier against some Brisbane player. I know what's happening. What would you do with me? I'm just not gonna read that. The curse is real. The Alina gaming curse. Oh, the praying on his. Oh, this is against Mugi. Yeah, just praying on Nate's downfall. It's actually working. It's actually working. Was she even bad though? She was pretty bad. She was like Leah Helton, except that she looked like that good natural. What were those arrows? So yeah, actually she looked like better. But yeah, Mugi so boosted. uh, Holy the goat 2 times hero. So Mugi. Imagine Fishner like actually qualifies. He just like learns lava or something and just like goes on a crazy run. Your voice is nice. Thank you. A lot of people say that, but then I just like watch the streams and just the microphone it's just so bad. And I want like just end my life. My bad, I wasn't familiar with the game, Mr. Lena Gaming. Bro, it was so good. It was so good until it lasted. It was so good. Oh, it has to be studied. Someone should make like a rise and fall of Alina Gaming Chris. It went up so high. It went up so high. And then just hit like rock bottom. Just hit rock bottom. Also, I'm still managing to milk viewers off of Fishinator, so that's pretty crazy. How you know that's Mugi? You can read Arabic. This is Japanese. No, the only reason I know it's Mugi because of like the middle line. It's like kind of like I don't even know what the shape is. Like half a circle. If it's that, it's and Mugi just lost. But if they have like that line, wait, Mugi actually lost. But if they have that line, it's it's Mugi. And if it's like something different, it's Guriko. At least I meet my girl IRL. Those who want one plus. Shut up. But yeah, Fish is him. Yolina, do you remember me? Of course I remember you. Of course. How could I forget? How can I forget? Watch Fish defend barrels with guards in front. Probably because like he thinks like the barrel's in front. But yeah, he won. Fish beat the 2 times world champion. That's crazy. You know they say the best players always. uh Fishinator is so funny. His wits. Bro, Fishinator uploaded a 20 win video, and all that was in the video was like one ladder game. Nothing even related to 20 wins. Just like what? Oh, Mugi's still alive. Yeah, I need me some Mugi friend link. Need me some Mugi friend link. It's like the missing puzzle to my friend list. Is Nate playing? Oh, Nate's playing again. Nate's playing again. Can we curse him for the 3rd time in a row? Can we? Oh, I think this guy just gave up. Or? He just like cycled his cage there. I think he gave up. Or? Wait, what? Wait, what? Are they like drawing? Huh? Wait, what's happening? What's happening? What was that rocket? What about Pandora? What about Pandora? What do you mean? I don't think he's like that good. He posted saying he won 20 wins, didn't show any matches, and played some ladder matches with this shit commentary. Oh, this guy has Monk. Like, what is this game? Like, what? I guess the Eagle and player tried to like bait Nate into like trying to 3-crown him and then just going all in, but it just didn't work. It just didn't work. And I think Nate was just like clowning on him with that rocket, like at the start. This rocket full kill healer? No, I think rocket lock full kills it though. Yeah, rocket lock full kills it. Rosberg got his Down syndrome. I think he might. I think like actually might. Like no joke. So yeah, maybe shouldn't bully him. But we want to do watch party at the end of season. Yeah, we're definitely gonna do it. We can spy like Mohammed, Riley, Fishinator. But yeah, this is over. Just like all the good players. Best player with Down syndrome. I think that's Dybala. Fishinator against Sky Master. This is gonna be great. We have a nice mirror matchup. Didn't see him anywhere. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Pandora. He might like quit. So many like good players quit. Like, I guess because it's like not CRL, but still. Like Pandora, Adriel, Air Surfer. Just like in the recent years. I don't know, I guess you can't blame them. The game is pretty bad. But still. I was like actually like a good fisherman. Good fisherman by the Fishinator. Get it? Get it? Get it? Because, you know, it's fish. Oh, so funny. I'm so funny. I lost to Aragon. 1,000 times. Oh, it's unlucky. It's unlucky. Can fish stop this? I saw her server in top ladder. Yeah, he like came back this season for like a bit of ladder, but I don't know. Besides that, he hasn't played for like a while. Yeah, he just plays for fun. Mugi, yeah. Also like Basoto quit. I don't know what that was about. He was like the 3rd best player ever. Oh. And he just quit. My goat Basoto. My goat Basoto. Fish is on the streak. I think he is. He's like top 40 right now, right? Exactly. I know my rankings. Wait, how is this top 40? What? What? I'm still top 15. Oh, top 40 is like one game away from me. Just one like good game away from me. That's crazy. That's crazy. Can Fish find another match? How high is yours? Not that high. Not that high. But yeah, we can like spectate one more Fish game. Oh, there it is. And then I can like stop abusing y'all for the watch hours. Yoko with canners is probably like drill. Or maybe he like sniped Fish with cannoneer. I could see that happening. Oh, I think he might have. Oh, he actually sniped Fish. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. Take the off, fumbling Bella. What? Why? Why? Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Do you have Annabelle at it? No. I don't want to get sniped. No, I want to get sniped. I checked her out and she was pretty bad. Yeah. She's pretty bad. Wait, Lucas. Are you like on Twitter? I feel like I know you from like Twitter or something. There's like so many Lucases, so I have no clue. The last time Melina talked to girls. Shut up. Shut up. Yeah. I actually deleted it. Yeah, wait, like, what's your Twitter? What's your Twitter? There's like so many Lucases. They're like good at the game. So many. Or like not good at the game, but just like known in the community. You know? The last time Alina talked to girl Sara, dinosaurs. Shut up. Shut up. I talk to women. I talk to women. Not that much. Not that much. But we talk to them. Sometimes. It's kind of scary though. It's pretty scary. Just got my real Twitter on my iPad. That's cool. It's cool. I don't think Visionary can win this. I think Yoko like genuinely sniped him. That's the crazy part because Hoggy just doesn't run Cannoneer. It just doesn't. Makes no sense. I guess maybe with Lava. But this version of Hoggy just doesn't run Cannoneer. What was that ability? What was that ability? Just what? Yeah, I think this is over. You playing Hawks? Not right now. There's a shit ton of Hoggies with Cannoneer, but they have Bomber. Yeah. Actually, like, not this season. I think that like died down. Wait, Bella's from Portugal? No, she's from like South Africa. But she like speaks Portugal. Alina Bella is from my country. No, she's not. How are you? I'm pretty good. How are you? You're going to bed? Alright, good night. Good night, bro. Is Bella... What? Bella Kins? No. Did she like change it? I don't know. I don't think that's her ad. I live in Brazil though. It's not South Africa. It's not South Africa. It's pretty far away. It's pretty far away. But yeah, I think Fish is losing this. I think Fish is losing this. And I'm dating tears. Wait, can Fish come back? Oh no, just spell cycle. I didn't even see. Didn't even see that. No. Unlucky for the Fish Goat. Make tournament. It's 3 a.m. I want to go to sleep. I've just been like dragging out the watch hours. Dragging out the watch hours. Wait, let me see the stream analytics. Actually, want to try that. Let me see. Analytics. Wait, we actually have like a very good average view duration. I'm proud. I give. Huh? After Ice Spirit and Skeletons Nerve, this matchup will be closer. This isn't even like. This is usually like Fishionaire's matchup, but the guy had Cannoneer, so. Bro, dragging the watch hours on Fish gameplay. We've actually like been dragging it for like quite a while. I think for like over like half an hour. At least. Possibly more. Possibly more. Can you run 2.6 sock? I want to watch you. I'm not a 2.6 player, sorry. I don't know how to play it. Did Fish get sniped again? Did Fish just get sniped again, bro? Poor Fish. Poor Fish. Poor Fish. Bro, I wish I could have Tinder just for the memes. Do you not have Tinder in Brazil? Do you have hair in your spatial plate? Huh? Special? Not answering that. There's probably a bunch of people in VC trying to snipe Fish. I could see that happening. I could see that happening. You're 15? Are you actually 15? No. Bro, you're young. You're young. Do your homework, bro. Do your homework. I'm the most loyal person ever. Wait, Fish is cooking. Or maybe not. Oldest Alina viewer. Perhaps. Perhaps. Waiting about the last deck next season. Hopefully Hog with the new card. You know, we can dream. We can dream. Actually, I'm like curious how old like everyone is. I saw like a demographic. It's just like mainly, but like everyone has like fake accounts. There's like half a percentage of like 65 plus, which I don't think anyone's grandparents are watching Alina CR. I just don't think that's happening. So yeah, you know, can't really trust that. Can only trust it for like regional demographics. So I'm seeing more streams than my girlfriend. That's pretty sad. For you though, for me, it's pretty good. Getting them watch hours in. Getting them watch hours in. Can't complain. He's legit getting sniped. You can check. I can check. Wait, let me see. We go to Fishinator. Because like I've never seen someone run that deck with Cannoneer besides like Sandbox once. But I think he's like actually getting sniped. BM2, yeah. I started to join the stream too. Oh, the girlfriend. Once my sleep schedule gets fixed, I don't think I'll ever be awake for streams. Don't worry. When I have school, I'm gonna stream at like normal times, not like up until like 3 a.m. So yeah. With which deck did you? With Hawk. Also, this is like I'm top 15 on my other account. Here. It's my second account. So yeah, with this deck. Wait, let's see if Fish was like actually getting sniped. Go to bells here. It's gonna load even. Yeah, Raw API is just gonna take forever to load. Watch him unfriend everyone and lock him for top 5. That would be crazy. But they can like still snipe him even if they don't have him added. Just like off of other people. You're a pro player. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see Swan. Do you have Cannoneer before? Yep, this was a snipe. Previous bell an hour ago without Cannoneer. So that was a snipe. Now let's see if Yoko sniped him. Yoko sniped him. So one snipe confirmed. As we can watch Burko while we check. Yoko? No, Yoko has just been like playing that act. Yoko didn't snipe him, boys. Yoko has just been, or maybe not. No, he sniped. He sniped Mugi. He sniped Mugi, who was playing the same deck as Fishinator, and he also sniped the Fishinator. That's crazy. That's just crazy. Sniping Mugi is wild. Where's Scoops today? It's 3 a.m. for us, so he was here earlier. He just went to sleep. Molite and DC Taurus are the best players of all time in same. That's such a random rivalry. It's not even like they don't even like have beef or something. So random. So random. It's like saying, I don't know, Alina CR and Kang Clash are the greatest Clash Royale YouTubers. They have so much beef. Because obvious, you know, it's only Alina CR that's like good here. Best rivalry of all time is the Ball and Fish. Let's see if any of them can like finish top 50. That would be funny. That would be funny. I already won Tourist in the mirror. It's pretty cool. Who sneaked Alina in? Who sneaked Cannon, bro? Lucas is pro? You mean Lucas X Gamer? Or this Lucas? This Lucas is just a random. Just a random. Just some random guy who should do his homework. Who should do his homework. This is not Lucas X Gamer. Yeah, no, but I was like in general. No one beats Prime Tourist. I think Jeffrey CR is. Who the fuck is Jeffrey CR? Just making up names. Random 15 UK. At least I don't date and from one girl. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Still though, fuck you. Fuck you. Yelena, they announced Minecraft 2. What? What? Just didn't happen. Why is Fish playing? Berka won this. It's pretty free. Notch made a tweet about it. Notch is just like a drunk junkie all the time. I don't think he has any correlation to Minecraft anymore. Or like has had it for like a while. I remember like he was going so crazy that like Microsoft just like completely like paid him off, just like not get involved with the thing anymore. CR players who wipe versus CR players who let. Huh? Did I read that right? Did I read that right? Fish is so locked in. I don't think he is. He's facing Ko again. Didn't he like beat Ko earlier? Just like barely. With some like spell damage. It's like barely outspell him. That splashes. Or I guess it doesn't. We can Ko defend this. I guess EY Spirit. Oh, he doesn't predict it. Pekka? No, he defends. EY Spirit. EY Spirit. It's not a real card. But like whole Fissionaires deck is not real, so you know, make of that as you want. Should like rage that. You know, like a hit. Fish with a predict. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ivar Spirit just one elixir free spell. Basically. Mr. Pekka here. Oh, he doesn't hit the P.E.K.K.A. Oh, he clips the Evil Spirit anyway. Wait, the P.E.K.K.A. on the right? The Goblin Giant? Code defense, this is like actually goaded. No, it's over. Damn. Damn. I mean, this is like a free matchup for Fish, but still. Damn. Alright, is it time for me to like go to sleep finally and stop dragging out? No, hello, Coops. Is it time to like stop dragging out this stream? Oh, Nate's playing. Wait, Nate's actually pretty high. We'll watch one more Nate game. One more Nate winning with a hard counter. With a hard counter. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. You know, if I could like control matchups, I would just give all the lava hounds to Nate. Less 2 hours of the season. Enough clip farming for the year. It's not even clip farming, it's just like watch hour timing. I mean, farming. Maybe. Alright. Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. It's crazy. Oh. I think Yoko got disconnected. Because he like popped the ability. Why is everyone getting disconnected? What? First Nate, now Yoko. And I saw like Yoko get disconnected earlier against Nate. Or did he just like give up? Did he just like give up? Do watch hours even do something? It helps me get like monetized. So yeah. Bro, I'm cursing everyone. I'm just cursing everyone. Everyone just gets disconnected when I start like spectating them. Oh, we're against Fissionator. Oh, I really want to go to sleep. Really want to go to sleep. Really want to go to sleep. So much are his opponent's Wi-Fi dice. Hell yeah. The world isn't wide enough for Alina. And the router. It's just not. I'm too fat. Alina be doing dark magic at 3 a.m. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. When trading. I think like he just gave up because that matchup is just impossible. It was more our Fish Pro or Chop Chin guy. Definitely Fish Pro. No one has more R than Fish Pro. Fish like actually gets hosed though. That's crazy. He was like showing me pictures like a year ago. Or like some celebrity girl. And like some other girls. He was like a prom king. Not even making that up. Bro was a prom king. So I don't know if that was like a Make-A-Wish Foundation. Or, you know. But yeah. I'm dead ass. I'm dead ass. He showed me. So again, I'm not sure if it was like a Make-A-Wish Foundation or it's a lie. No, I swear to God, it's not a lie. He was showing it in like Levy's Discord server. When like me and Sandbox were bullying him. And also like Bidzo. We're just like making fun of him so hard. He was like, let's play a game. That's when back when he was like playing Sparky. And like Goblin John was just boosted. And like that Sparky that was everywhere. Also like Little Prince. Is he even ugly? He's British, no, he's American. He's from America. You wish he would be Fish fan? Hell yeah. Shut up, Lucas. Shut up. Yeah, I need to stop dragging this stream out. It's just I don't know. Evo Skellies. Evo Skellies. Hunter posted a video. I need to go hate. W subscriber. Let's hate on everyone else. But yeah, Fish just lost. I think Fish might be like tilted a bit. Fish might be tilted. Turn left on the Fish Pro lane. Turn right. Huh? Yeah, Fish lost. Alright. Yeah, Yeah, this is probably gonna be the end of the stream. It's getting pretty late. Pretty dark. Wait. No, just very quick. I was actually close though. I was actually close. W song. It's crazy. It's lyrics from a clip. Anyway. Anyways, enough dragging out the stream. Enough dragging out the stream for watch hours. I have to go. Not even 4 a.m. Come on. Shut up. It's like 6 p.m. for you in Brazil, bro. Shut up. It's so late. It's so late. Well, anyways. Not even sure if it's worth saying goodbye because everyone's just gonna be like, fuck you. Fuck you. So yeah, this is gonna be them. This is gonna be it. I appreciate everyone who came here and gave me their sweet, sweet watch hours. You'll never. I streamed for like 4 hours. Like 4 hours. But yeah, anyways. I'll see you boys tomorrow with like an earlier stream. Bro, can I click on the icon? For fuck's sake. Oh. Thank God. Alright, anyways. See ya, boys. See ya.